and I feel like, when you come to a crisis or something hits you, or it might be something went wrong with somebody. It could have been in the church, or it could have been in your own family, some relational kind of real issue and problem. And it's so easy for those things to kind of get kind of pushed to the sidelines while we try and keep our lives in order with the priorities of life, or whatever that transition is. And the more you hold those things at bay, of the stuff of between people and the things that matter, like as in to the depths of our souls, the more we build up these kind of walls and actually not aware. We think everything's, we got our world, our plate spinning and everything's kind of fine. But actually, when you dig a bit deeper, there's something there, or there's things that we have not resolved. And you will find that you just keep hitting these walls. And that's why when you were mentioning the EHS, emotionally healthy spirituality, Danny, that's something, I guess, as a group and as we came out as a community, a faith community, we kind of stripped of all kind of all processes and structures and rhythms. We had to refine our kind of rhythm as a community, a faith community. We went through that, Peter Scazario's book, and just kind of really sort of gave ourselves time and space to go deeper together in smaller groups and unpacked a lot of stuff. And I think we're not unique. I think a lot of people, if they just were to give each other time and space and an environment to talk deeper and to open up in a safe place, might find there's actually stuff that should and could be dealt with, not solved straight away, but at least brought to the light. And bring into the light is sometimes all that needs to kickstart a forward motion to, to be on the right track to healing and to restoration and to, salvaging what's been lost.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things that contributes to that as well is that typically for Christians, I think we often measure how we are going as a Christian based off our activity of our involvement on the Sunday of church, or our whatever we're how we're involved within specifically the church community. And I think that subconsciously what that has created is a where we've actually created walls internally within ourselves, where we've compartmentalized our lives, where we've got work, family, spirituality, and then so even when you ask, oh, well, how are you going spiritually? Well, you don't think immediately going back to, well, how am I going with my family, or how am I going at work, or it's just going, well, I guess I'm serving at church, and I'm doing my quiet times, or activities around that. So I think that one of the big realizations that I've had over the years is just to when I live like that, then it sort of it does compartmentalize how I view my Christianity, and that perspective and worldview alone, I realized, impacted how I actually made decisions across all the different spheres and of my life. And I think when I was able to sort of take a step back and sort of just say, well, no, my whole life is for God. And I mean, we all know that in reality, but we all know that technically, but realizing it in practice, I realized that I was actually splitting up my life that way. But when I realized and had that revelation of trying to unify my whole life under Christ, it just changed how I viewed everything completely. And that's kind of why when we talk about focusing on the activities focusing on the root cause versus the activities, I think is key, because as you change that perspective and that mindset, then the decisions and the activities will come. But it's actually in making that realization first that the change needs to happen.
I want to summarize both of what these guys have said, because there's a lot of gold there, so much gold. So I think what Deb was saying, that that we often don't get a chance to. There's not enough space in our lives or intentionality in our lives that it almost takes a crisis moment to hit us, to give us, oh my goodness, I am not doing that well. I thought I was, and then we talked about that program that we did that gave us space and time to actually delve and dig for those root causes. So when we talk about choked, we're talking about root causes and giving space and time. And I think I want to double down a bit on that is, for me, the word empathy comes up because often we want to fix things and we want to go, oh, you're choked. Okay, right. Well, let's fix that. And empathy is just that idea, again, in Job, where the friends sit in the ashes with Job, or we just sit in the hole or the pit with our friend, and we don't try to fix anything. We just want to stay there for a moment and recognize that this is bad. This is a difficult moment in life. I am tired. I am hurt. I am struggling, and I'm not going to get fixed quickly. Please let me fall apart. Help me fall apart. Be with me when I fall apart. So the empathy word comes up for me. And as AIDS was sharing again, and I think it's just, if anyone gets to know AIDS, you'll know this is him through and through and through and through and through. That whole message of integration, and where it's so relevant to this is that often we can compartmentalize our lives and disguise ourselves, and that's why we don't realize we're sick, because we're doing the activities of what it means. We are doing the serving, and we are doing the helping, and we are doing the quiet time, and we're doing. But I can't talk to you guys about what's going on over here in my work life, because that's not the spiritual life. So when you ask how I'm going, I'll tell you my spiritual life's good. But if you ask me, how's my work going? How's my family going? How's my relationship with my kids? I might give you a different answer. But it doesn't seem like, sometimes it doesn't seem, although we want it to be whole of life, often we've been in frameworks that encourage the activities, and we believe that the activities equal spirituality. And I think that's what AIDS is saying, that the moment he stepped back and stripped away activity for the sake of activity and went back to the roots of things, did he see that, you know what, I'm actually doing better than I thought, or I've recognized I'm at a different stage in life, and all these different revelations that AIDS has had. I want to get a bit more personal, and I want to ask you guys, I think this would be a good question for us to put into our thing. What are some of the things that would wake you up at night? What are they related to? And what are some of the things that might wake up others? What woke me up? 5 a.m, I woke up, and at the moment I'm in the property game, and there's so much, the world, inflation, interest rates, there's so much happening, right? That I'm constantly in a state of flux going, what do I do next? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? I've got to, like, if my default, if you caught me, could get inside my brain like Ant-Man and could look around, you would just see all these numbers flying around and all these different things. And all of a sudden there'll be a conversation with Deb and Adrian. But by and large, I've got to work that stuff out, right? So as I go through that, there are no answers. There are no clear answers. There's a lot of, God, I'm going to trust you with this. I'm going to trust you with that. But that kind of can work for the prayer. And then how quick does that peace or joy leave me? And I'm, again, wrestled with the uncertainties of what I'm dealing with. So subconsciously it's there. There's stress, there's things. Now, how do I make sure that doesn't just, like a tidal wave, come up and up and up and just consume me to the point where I become mute? I become, oh my gosh, I don't feel like talking to anyone. I don't feel like doing anything. This worry has consumed me, right? Anyway, so this morning I woke up, and it was probably a familiar thing. I went to bed, I think, reading about the property market last night. So that wasn't probably the best thing to read just before going to sleep. Anyway, I get up at 5 a.m, and I'm rolling around 5:30, and then Steph's sort of waking up, rustling up, and she goes, "What are we going to do about the all the tools in the shed? Would you do you want to sell some? Do you want to?" Like, she asked me 3 or 4 questions that just woke me right up. Like, her overwhelmed worry hit me and just went like electric shock. Like, he went, what about our administration? What about our tax? What about, like, administration and me? We don't mix. Like, that's like high allergy for me. So she mentions the word administration, tax, and clearing out the tools at 5:30 in the morning. Guess what? Overwhelmed, immediately stressed. Woke up, you have just woken my brain with those words, man. I cannot go back to sleep. Anyway, but again, I think because this is a topic that we're talking a lot about, I go, what am I going to do with that? Like, that, I can feel the anxiety. I can feel all that. What am I going to do with this? And how am I going to reconcile all this stuff and yet be fruitful and harvesting and growing and be an overcomer and be be full of life and let the Spirit be the lead. And so that's my challenge, and that's how I think of it. And I think of many brothers and sisters out there that may be going through similar financial concerns. And I think of also brothers and sisters that are going through relational things, like with their kids, the worry for your kids, or or the worry for your the conflict with your spouse, or anyway, there's got to be so many that are just those things that wake you up, and they're the things right there, boom, that are robbing the joy, that are there, that ready to steal any kind of fruitfulness out of you. So over to you guys. What would you want to share about that?
Thanks for sharing that, Danny. I think we can all resonate with that. What do you do with the splat of thoughts? And but yeah, when you're talking, it got me thinking of a conversation that we'd had with someone not too long ago. Won't mention names, but this person was sharing about some deep problems that they'd had from feeling hurt in the church. And they, as a result, have realized that they've just stopped coming. A lot of good excuses with COVID, lockdown and everything like that almost very conveniently meant that they could take quite a big break. But just unpacking that a little bit more and seeing that just
good example.
In terms of what can choke you, it's just this offense of some sort, or in this particular, I'll be quite specific because I think it's a common realized thing. It's like this unspoken thing to do with leadership. Like if somebody's given an opportunity to lead within the church, and then for some reason that's taken away without talking through why that was the case. It's really interesting to see the amount of unspoken, and because it's not like it's, we've got to have a chat about this. This is really, it's a lot of this can happen without kind of leaders in the church or staff in the church realizing the effects that it has on lay leadership, or young people in particular who are growing in in confidence and the ability to lead and that sort of thing. So as I was thinking about that, just this one little moment where they were kind of almost like demoted from a role that they were promised, and that not dealt with, or that not being able to be talked through meant that this person just went into this space of of resentment and kind of could find no way out, because who are they going to talk to? They're not going to go and escalate that. It's not a big deal actually, but it is for that person. So I'm like, when there's nowhere to go, when you don't have people, safe and trusted friends, Christian brothers and sisters, to unpack the feelings, the hurts and that sort of thing, no one who can sit with you in the trenches literally and just say, I'm sorry that's happened to you, and be able to kind of deal with it, then that just builds and creates a wall. And that's not just, I'm not talking about blockage to going back to church, because that's not the bottom line. The bottom line is a blockage to your fellowship of Jesus and to your health as a Christian, and you're being able to flourish in every other part. So if that part stays in bitterness and in darkness, then it will actually choke the rest of your life. So yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Because I reckon you do this really, really well, right? You've got, I don't know whether it's thick skin, but you're not afraid to go, let's do that. Let's till the soul. Let's open up, man. Let's get to those bits of dirt and bring it out. And it's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to cry, but let's do it. I think you do that really, really well. I think that
Really?
you want to do it. You don't know where it's going to go. It's very scary. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you do that, and you don't mind going, we're about to have a difficult conversation. You're about to have some difficult conversations over the next couple of weeks. You are up for it. Why?
It's funny you say that. I think in the past I've been the worst.
Huh?
I've not been good at this in the past. Like, in fact, I'm quite happy to coast along and not deal with the difficult, elephant in the room. Yeah. But I think it's over literally in the last couple of years that I've felt like really challenged with that.